got him to take him to St. Louis so it would give the being more power over him. It didn't work out that way in the end because they actually got rid of the demon, out of the kid. But it's just amazing that something like that would know about that at such a distance and everything,
So
I was surprised. Yeah.
So have you gone to this house and checked it out yourself?
I've just driven by it, took a picture of it. But that's been a few years ago. There's nothing about it. There's nobody in a black cape with fangs on the front porch or anything. It's just a very mundane, average, working class kind of neighborhood. I mean, the houses are real nice. Another thing she told me about the house was it's never been remodeled. It was built in 1943.
Right.
And it's outside of a little paint here and there. It's never had any major remodeling, and she said it is in the same condition as, like if it had just come off the assembly line, the things in it. They're just absolutely in excellent condition. And it is just amazing. Then she told me about when they went through it and they were checking it out. She said when the bedroom where the child was levitating in the bed and everything in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
In that particular bedroom, she had to try 3 or 4 times just to get by that door.
All right, so
let
me ask you just something here for self-clarification.
Uh-huh.
Now, you're saying that according to this nurse, the house that was depicted in the Amityville horror movie was not in Amityville, Long Island, but in Connecticut?
Oh, no. No. It has nothing to do with Amityville.
Oh, I see.
You mean The Exorcist? I think you might be thinking of something else.
Right. You know what? I was. I'm sorry. The Exorcist, right, with Linda Blair.
Right. No, that house was in Washington, D.C., but that's not where all of that happened. The exorcism actually took place in St. Louis.
Oh, I see.
And one of the amazing things was, this kid was coming down, was being possessed.
Mm-hmm.
On his stomach, they saw written St. Louis. And they thought that maybe it was a message from his dead aunt, because his aunt was into, like Ouija boards and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that's kind of how he got possessed, which is right along with what the movie said, if you saw the movie. And so they took him to St. Louis. That was, they thought maybe the aunt knew that there was some way that they could get him dispossessed if he went to St. Louis. And that's exactly what happened, although I think the creature that possessed him didn't think that.
So what is your belief of what actually possesses people when the requirement for exorcism is needed?
Well, and that's a very sticky subject too, because it's not everybody agrees. Like, for example, this kid is referred to as Robbie Doe. It was a boy instead of a girl, by the way. And when they were trying to decide what was wrong with him,
mm-hmm.
They took him to his minister. The family was originally Lutheran, and they went to the minister, and the minister felt that perhaps it was a poltergeist activity, and he contacted a professor from, I believe he was from Duke University, and he kind of agreed with that. He kind of thought it sounded like poltergeist, although the minister saw Robbie,
mm-hmm.
but not the guy from Duke University. And the minister took Robbie to his home, and the same things that were happening at Robbie's house began happening at the minister's house, so the minister sent him back home.
Wow.
He didn't want any more, he didn't want any more to do with it. But then he went into it. Here's the interesting thing. I didn't know this, and this was never in the hospital, never in the book, rather, but Robbie was put into a hospital in the Washington, D.C. area because a number of people his age came down with flu. There was a flu epidemic going on, and so he was put in a hospital ward with a bunch of boys his own age. And later on, a man came forward and told about this after the movie had been made and everything. And he said that the kids saw Robbie, and they saw his eyes, and it just terrified them to death. They started saying rosary and praying and everything as soon as they saw his eyes.
What is the power behind? What is the power behind the person doing the exorcist? Is it the power of God? Is it the power of good versus evil? Why does that demon release itself from the host?
Well, I see what you're saying. What Vicki told me, and she's helped with exorcisms, and she knows quite a bit about this, but she says is that everybody has some good deep down inside of them, and so you have to look for that and seek it out and pull it out, so to speak. The good.
So what happened?
Sometimes it takes you a while, you know.
So
but she did find out some of the people that had been infesting the house. There were like child molesters and things like that she felt their presence and everything. So I think she was onto something. I don't know what, but you know.
So is it the essence of these people, these child molesters and so on, that attract the negative entities or the demons to the house?
Yeah, and you also. This is why, you know, I don't think if somebody goes to a pornography movie once or twice or something, they're going to go to hell. Mm-hmm. But what it does is you give the dark side permission to mess with you, as a friend of mine put it that way. And that's the real danger is you open doors, you know. So I don't... You know, I don't think of, you know, if you smoke pot once or play a Ouija board once or something, I really find that hard to believe that that's going to make you, you know, get possessed. However, it's like an alcoholic, you know, if you have somebody that's really sensitive to that sort of thing, and then they drink too much, then you're really asking for trouble. Something that, you know, wouldn't bother you or me, but somebody that's chemically sensitive to it might react differently, and that's kind of how this sort of thing is, too.
Gotcha.
You know.
All right, Patricia, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation,
okay.
Patricia Ress is our special guest. Her website is www.patriciaressenterprises.net. And her books are available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. We're talking about exorcism. Why? Because she is the author of a new book entitled The Exorcist House. It's about the house where the events actually happened, which inspired the movie The Exorcist. She's got several books. We've talked to her in the past about strange animals and the implications for their existence, and the library upstairs. This is going to be an interesting hour. Patricia Ress is my guest. We'll both be back on the other side of the news. Don't go away.
Okay.
My name is Rob McConnell, and I would like to tell you about a very special lady that I have the pleasure of knowing, and that's Miss Sylvia Anthony. Sylvia Anthony believes the golden years are a time to gear up and get busy, not relax and take it easy. She has faced many hardships in her 84 years, but they have made her stronger and more determined. As founder and president of Sylvia's Haven, a shelter for women and their children near Boston, Sylvia has helped transform over 1,086 lives in the past 27 years, not only with housing, but also providing direction as to where they can go to develop the earning skills they want and need to live free from difficult domestic situations. Sylvia's Haven is everything to Sylvia Anthony, even calling it her magnificent obsession. Women who qualify for the program at Sylvia's Haven receive assistance via guidance counselors to find the appropriate job opportunity. Women and their children may remain at the housing for up to 2 years. At the end of this time, or sooner, a woman who is successfully employed and has an apartment or home may leave Sylvia's Haven to begin a new and independent life. Now this is where you come in to help make Sylvia's dream into a reality. Sylvia's dream is to have a Sylvia's Haven in every state to help as many women and their children as she can, and to help this dream come true. A crowdfunding site has been established which can be accessed at www.sylviasdream.org. Now that's www.sylviasdream.org. With your financial help and support, Sylvia Anthony will continue to help those in their time of need, not only in the Boston area, but with her dream of having a Sylvia's Haven in every state of the United States. Your help is needed to make Sylvia's dream come true. Please visit and give at www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. And remember, the only difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. We need your help to make Sylvia's dream come true. Visit www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. For the X Zone Radio TV show and the X Chronicles newspaper, I am Rob McConnell.
This is the X Zone Radio and TV show on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our worldwide broadcast affiliates. If you have a question for Rob McConnell or his guest, or if you have had a paranormal experience, call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 0, or email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. And on major social media sites, our address is Xzone Radio TV.
Welcome back, everyone. My guest this hour is Patricia Ress. Her website is www.patriciaressenterprises.net, and her books are available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. We were talking about the real story behind The Exorcist. Patricia is the author of a new book entitled The Exorcist House. And Patricia, you were telling me before we came back on air that you have some information in your book that wasn't in the movie.
That's true. First of all, the priest that performed the actual exorcism was Father William Bodern, S.J., which means he was a Jesuit. And another priest, Reverend Raymond Bishop, kept a journal of the exorcism and assisted Father Bodern. And then Father Walter Halloran assisted them with Father Bodern using the Ritual Romanum, or the ancient Latin rites of exorcism. And that's what they actually did. Anyhow, 27 days into the exorcism, the priest prayed the rosary, and Robbie screamed and clutched his chest. The priest found the word exit rising from his chest, as it happened just like when he saw St. Louis on his body. And the rosary resumed, and Robbie interrupted them and said he saw St. Michael battling Satan at the gates of hell. Father Bodern then gave Robbie his first communion. Soon after that, there was a huge, loud blast throughout the hospital and the church across the street. And it says no trace of any actual explosion was ever found. The lights then went off. When the lights came back on, Robbie sat up, smiled, and said simply, "He's gone." Now, something else that's interesting that's never been mentioned is some priests put in the statue of St. Michael slaying the devil, and he's got his foot on the devil's head, and he's got his sword out and everything.
Yes.
Somebody put that statue right by Robbie's bedside, and shortly after that, that's when all this happened, and that's when he woke up, smiled, and said he's gone. And it said, although the old Alexian Hospital has been torn down for nearly 40 years, the asphalt on the ground, which is directly below the floor where Robbie stayed and was exorcised, has never hardened like it should. There are still lines and creases, and they've reported many times, but it's never been redone. It's never dried properly, and the rest of the parking lot has been okay, just not that part. And there's a story associated with the demolition of the hospital. A couple of the workers who were at the site recall a huge, strange animal rampaging out of the building, and they were frightened, and many